Welcome to Hester Brothers.
Hold on. I gotta have sunglasses on. This is New Year's, right?
This is what I deal with.
I wish I had the 2021 sunglasses or whatever.
You might be able to use what just happened as an intro because you cut me off immediately.
I thought about that.
Cartoon Theater, everybody. I'm Alec, this is my brother Lucas, and today we are doing something a little bit special. We're in that awkward limbo time where Christmas month is kind of over, but it's like right around the new year still, but not fully 2022, you know. So we thought, wouldn't it be fun to look back on the year of HBCT, the very first year that we've ever been doing this, sort of look ahead to what's in 2022, and maybe just give everybody an opportunity to know us better. So basically how this is going to work, we're going to tell you guys some things about how the show started, how it runs now, tell you about us, and then we're going to answer some questions that we got from our homies, that's a U word, from our friends in the HBCT Discord. They honestly asked really, really good questions, and I'm super excited to talk about all of them.
So,
Lucas.
So sit back and relax. And enjoy Alec and I pulling back the curtain, maybe make some hot cocoa, put some vegan marshmallows in it, and obviously hit the like and subscribe button, because if you're here, you probably have some sort of investment, right? Even if it's like the superficial, I'm here to watch 15 minutes of video investment. So Tag just showed up.
Oh, that's one of our questions. Somebody wants to know the names of our dogs. Yours is Tag.
Oh, wow. Tag along, yeah.
And mine's name is Oppie, which you might have learned in the Grinch episode if you watched it. So, thanks for that question, CJ.
Here's Tag right now. His name's Tag along.
Tag along! Oh, you're so cute!
Like the Girl Scout cookie?
No.
Lucas, this is so weird because we always start with, jumping right into some kind of a question about a cartoon. But instead, I think I'm gonna treat this like I'm a teacher at a brand new day of school. First day of school.
Learn me, mister.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? What are some things that people who watch the show might not know about you that they might be interested to hear about?
Outside of obviously doing YouTube and stuff, I'm a social media manager. I have my own social media company, and I manage social media. I mean, if somebody wants me to do a consultation for them, I will. I have my master's degree in arts marketing. I have my undergrad in philosophy. I'm sure a lot of people know that already because we talk about it. I'm a fire performer. I've been juggling and spinning fire for about 7-8 years, and I do that mostly for fun. I don't love doing it professionally because the professional environment annoys me a little bit. But it's fun. I love it. There are probably some flow artists. It's the denomination of flow arts. Probably some of them are actually watching this video. So if you're one of my flow arts homies, thanks for being here. Leave a comment, say hello. What's your favorite prop? I don't know.
Yeah, no, and Lucas is underselling it a lot. He is a phenomenal fire spinner. This man is professional level, one of the best people I've ever seen do any kind of flow art. So, throw one clip of yourself just so people realize how actually good you are at this thing.
I'll pull something from my Instagram, I don't know.
All right. On my end, I can't say specifically what I do because of the company that it is, but I work with survey management. I get to do a lot of work with data of different kinds. My degree is in sociology, as I mentioned on the show, so
He works for the FBI.
Stop. I love doing social statistic work, so that's kind of what I get to do a little bit, to a lesser degree. I would like to be doing more. I also play the xylophone.
See, Alec's underselling himself right now because he's a percussionist who's been playing music since he was 10 and is really, really, really good.
That is true. I was going to say that I'm not technically playing in the orchestra right now because of COVID, but for a long time I've played with a local orchestra, and I am a percussionist. I play xylophone and all those wacky instruments in the back. A lot of different instruments.
Plays 20 instruments, dude.
I also do a lot of work with positive psychology, or people might know it as happiness science, to try to help people improve their well-being. And that's something that I'm really passionate about because that science helped my life a lot too. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me. I don't know, Luz, do you think that people are maybe interested in the origin of Hester Brothers Cartoon Theater?
You mean like our origin story, our backstory? Alec and I were born orphans on the planet of Krypton and launched in a rocket ship to Earth. And it was very sad and tragic, and we've had a huge coming-of-age story that'll come to the silver screen this November.
Stop.
What is our backstory? Like, we just kind of started doing this. We're brothers, obviously. Alec and I have grown up together, if that wasn't apparent. We're real brothers. I think some people don't know that we're actually, like, it's not a stage show. We're actually related. We've always had a love for art and cartoons. I just love art and the art of living, and film and TV and cartoons specifically are like one of my favorite art forms to experience. We've watched so many cartoons when we were so young that we just have a huge background with it. I remember watching Fantasia a whole bunch. All these, amazing works of art that we've been raised on, and we just have a passion for it. I had a whole roller coaster of a life for a while, and Alec was doing his roller coaster of a life for a while. We kind of met at this middle mark, and we're like, hey, let's do a YouTube show.
Something that I think back on is that you and I made a wheel of cartoons when we were really little, and we would spin the wheel, and depending on what it landed on, we would pretend to be from that cartoon universe that day. Like,
I don't remember
think that. Yeah, no, well, you were a little bit younger than I was, so it makes sense that you don't. But, our parents really instilled this sense of, like, heavy imagination with us when we were, like, pretty little. And I feel like that carried through. So because cartoons were such a bonding agent for us for so many years, once we became adults, let's just say our lives went in very different directions for a while. We still talked, we were still close. It wasn't like when we were kids, when we would literally stay up at night just talking to each other about the wildest ideas that we had. We were much closer at the moment that we decided to do this show, but it did feel like, okay, cartoons were a bonding agent for us before. We could really make some magic here. So I came to you and I said, Lucas, we should do a thing. We should do it about cartoons. You, like you said, had the idea for it to be YouTube instead of a podcast, which I do think was the right decision.
Oh, I forgot the origin story of our title and name. When we were younger, we had an actual... This is like the core of our actual story. We had a theater, like a real puppet show theater that our parents bought for us for Christmas or something. Embroidered on it, it said Hester Bros Theater. We spent so much time hanging out and playing with that thing. That is kind of the origin of where our name and part of our identity came from.
For some reason, it's been a long time since I thought about our name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's named after our puppet show that we got when we were little. The original vision was kind of for this to be a show where we challenged the notion that cartoons are only for kids. It was an opportunity for us to go back and do one cartoon a week of all kinds of different genres, which was the original idea. And we would always ask the question, are they for kids or are they for adults? But as we started to get new ideas, we're like, oh, maybe we can play around with these different kinds of shows. At one point, you said, we should try a reaction video. And I was like, no, that's not going to do good. And of course, it turns out that reaction videos are the thing that the most people have clung to as what they're excited about from us. And we're going to talk more about that.
Let's just transition straight into a little bit of content creation philosophy on that.
Concerfarium in our Discord asked, what are your thoughts on reactions versus standalone videos? And I know that you have a lot of thoughts about this, so I'm going to pass it to you first.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, I do the editing, right? It's a plague of any artist that being popular usually entails dropping things that are good. If you think of the most popular music in the world and then you think of the best music in the world, they're nowhere near the same spheres, right?
Right.
Not trying to diss on things that are popular, because things that are popular often have reasons and are good, for those reasons. But when you're talking about mastery of an art form, the popular stuff isn't going to work because the people who appreciate mastery of an art form are only people who speak that art form's language. So when it comes to video editing, live reactions are literally the easiest thing in the world to do. Our regular videos, or we call them regular videos because in my mind, I spend so much more time on them that they seem like they take up more of my space. For those, I'm hunting down clips to find for background videos. I'm looking for animations to keep people interested throughout our video. Reaction videos are way, way, way faster and easier to make than the others. And it's a little bit of a creative annoyance because obviously live reaction videos do a lot better in general. On the one hand, it's nice that the easiest thing that it is for me to do as an editor is the thing that has the most, yields the most reward. But on the other hand, it's the stuff that we really are the most proud of in our videos don't usually end up getting views. So, if you're watching this, our live reactions are great, but go check out our other videos. A lot of them I think are really funny and I spend a lot more time on. in terms of what I actually like, I don't really watch reaction videos too, so I would even rather watch the longer ones, but I'm biased.
I think that I'm a little bit biased too. I really love the way that we started the show with these standalone videos as they were. I really feel like there's some of those episodes that are really good, like the Freakazoid episode we did in like the very early stages of HBCT. We had so much fun making. We're really proud of it, even though the quality isn't as good as some of the stuff now. Like, that was great. I think of the example of Groovy Ghoulies from our Weird Cartoon series. Because it's a 70s cartoon that almost nobody has heard of, it didn't generate much interest, and that's been like one of our least popular newer videos, and yet that was one of my absolute favorites that we did. I'm not even gonna say that it's frustrating, to be honest, because I'm still proud of the art. Like you said, part of life of an artist is kind of doing what is popular now so that we can do more of what we really want to do in the future. Going into the new year, we are going to be working harder on the reaction video side of things. We're going to do standalone videos every other week instead of every week, so that hopefully that gives Lucas more time to edit them, and it can also be more exciting when one of those comes out because they won't be as common.
One thing I also want to declare is just an intention for the New Year's. It might sound like Alec had a lot going on with all the other things that we're talking about, but we're very driven to make this YouTube thing like the primary focal point of work in our lives. And we're already a lot closer than we thought we were going to be at this point. So all of the support, following our social media, which actually is helpful because it helps our reach, obviously liking and subscribing and all that kinds of stuff, comments, all of that is so monumentally helpful, because if you guys are dedicated to be an audience member, or even remotely, slightly intimately involved, we show up in your feed and it's a low-key thing, that's fine. We're going to be dedicated to doing this for a long time and see a lot of longevity in this channel. And this is our first year of review video, which is kind of exciting, I'm realizing right now.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Thanks for being here for that, and hopefully next year there will be even more of you and even more hilarious things to review.
From the moment that we started this channel, we are dedicated to working as hard as we possibly can to make this happen. We do. Still, time and resources are harder when we both have full-time jobs and very busy personal lives outside of this, but we love doing this so much that the hard work of it all makes it very worth what we end up delivering in the end.
Absolutely.
Lucas, before we tread too far from this territory, I do want to get in a question from Zam, who says that they've always wondered what takes the longest when making a reaction specifically. Is it the filming, the editing, or the commentary itself?
Like I was saying before, live reactions are like so easy. I don't think of any part of that taking time, because it literally is so much easier to do than the other videos that I do. Outside of like the time it takes for a video to render and stuff like that, I'll spend like recording, editing, you know, and everything considered like 3 hours maybe on a live reaction, maybe less if it's a shorter thing. And I'll spend like 6 to 16 hours on a bigger video, depending on how many silly little things I try to throw in there that take too much time. I'm obviously not like a Hollywood editor, so I'm doing the best I can. I'd say editing always takes the longest because, I mean, picture, like, we watch a thing live and we talk about it. Editing is me just watching. It's kind of meta. It's just me watching us watching it live and then taking the time to, you know, cut out things. Also, on that note, on the philosophy of reaction videos, a lot of people will comment stuff like, we hate it when you cut. But guys, like, I shouldn't be live in front of a camera. Like, I need to cut things out to preserve not being considered evil on the internet. Like, you don't want to hear what I'm saying. I appreciate that you want to hear everything, but it's not good. We don't want this. So we have our reasons. You can trust me on that.
You're overblowing it. No, he's really good at a lot of stuff. We do sometimes cut out if we end up talking over something that we feel like is gonna bother people. But sometimes I will say that, like, people probably watch reaction videos because they want to feel like they're watching it with a friend, and we like to be that friend to people. And I can understand also how it would be distracting if us talking over it makes it look like we're not paying attention. And that transitions into another question from Conservarium, who basically just said, we were teased with a subtitles debate. I'm transitioning in this way because in the Arcane episode, Lucas and I had a very brief moment where we talked about the fact that I really like subtitles, he doesn't really like them. Part of the reason that I like them is because while we're doing a reaction, it helps me to be able to read so that if I'm talking that I can still look really quickly at what's happening. Lucas is the best multitasker I've ever seen and can honestly sometimes like talk and hear at the same time, which, while some of you may not believe, I can vouch for his skill to do that. I cannot. So that's why subtitles are a big deal for me when I'm watching the content.
Okay, look, the thing is, I don't really need to do one thing at a time to be able to focus just fine, because my brain is hyperactive as all I need to do multiple things at the same time for my brain to stay focused. I understand that's overwhelming for a lot of people. It's been a struggle throughout my whole life, and I've come to accept that. You don't need to worry about me missing out on stuff, also because I watch it a second time while I'm editing anyway.
Zam also asks, how do you manage to watch one episode a week? When I start a show, I usually binge a couple episodes a day until I finish a show, because I just can't stop myself. But you, and most other reactors, somehow manage to do one a week for months and sometimes even years. Lucas, I'll let you start.
So Alec doesn't love binging, right? Like, that's just something that you're not super into in general.
I love watching one episode a week.
I like binging. I'm busy. I can't just sit and watch 3.5 hours of a whole show in a day. I have things to do. I run a business. I run a YouTube channel. I have friends and go out. And I'm not trying to diss anybody who watches a lot of cartoons. Like, I would love to spend more time watching cartoons. Like, I'm not trying to glorify how busy my life is. It sucks a lot. Now that I'm watching stuff for the show, I just kind of end up doing different things in my off time. Like, if I have chill time to myself, I'll probably play Super Smash Bros, most of the time. My Super Smash Bros homies. Still nobody's left any comments saying that they play Super Smash Bros. I'm looking for you. Well, I'll meet you one day. I love watching stuff. I would absolutely, I just binged the end of this anime that time I got reincarnated as a slime with my friend on Discord. But for me, watching stuff is a social experience, so if I'm gonna binge something, I'll do it with a friend usually, maybe even with Alec. Sitting down and binging a show is something that, I don't know, I'll still do it with anime sometimes if I have time. I just don't really have time.
I want to get to a little bit of the core of Zam's question also, because there are some cases where we are forced to not watch more because we have to for the show. You even said it on the Arcane video, let us know if you want to watch more, because I would like to just immediately sit back and do this. So it's not always necessarily just about binging specifically, it's just about being able to watch an episode a day. We can't even do that much.
And I need to edit in between our viewing experiences, so it's not like I watch it and then we publish it. It's not that easy. Alec and I need to sync up our recording schedules because we live in different states. We would have loved to have gotten the whole first season of Centaur World live reacted to the day it was done, but that's pretty hard, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That would require Lucas and I to sit there, record all 10 episodes, and then he's got to edit them all individually. And even though you say reaction videos are quick, there is a lot that goes into it as far as the rendering and upload process that takes a lot longer. So there's a big waiting game. You can't use your computer when some of that stuff is happening. There's a lot to it, basically. We don't need to go too far.
I gotta say real quick, this is my fucking setup, okay?
Okay.
Look at this.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, that's Alec. That's it, right? I don't have a huge processor. I need more equipment that can manage this stuff better, and I'm running a pretty heavy video editing app with what I've got, so it takes some time. My app crashes a lot.
You mentioned that we're in different states, so Tess asked one of my favorite questions. Is doing videos the only time you all see each other, or do you hang out, or are you too far away for that? We do live in different states. Not only that, we live on completely opposite ends of the country. Obviously, growing up, we got to hang out together all the time. We do not only talk when we're doing the show. We probably talk 4 to 5 different times a week outside of the show. Do you think that's stretching it?
No, I think that sounds pretty realistic. We chat a lot, and not just about the show, we'll just have conversations and stuff.
Yeah, we're extremely close.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly that. Yeah, Alec and I have been really close our whole lives. As kids, I was a little bit more of an asshole pretty regularly, to be honest, but somehow Alec still tolerates me after all this time.
That makes me want to transition into some questions about our future plans, because there's some good ones here that I'm excited to talk about.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do this one from CJ. Are you going to cover any of your favorite childhood cartoons that aired while you were growing up? And if so, which one are you the most excited about?
Childhood is a little bit of a loaded term, because some of my favorite shows I didn't encounter until I was a little bit older and kind of had a different appreciation for it. I'm not as much of a nostalgia hoe as Alec is. Adventure Time is my favorite show. I'm sorry to spoil the top 10 favorite show video that will come one day. Adventure Time is just such a big show, and there's so much, and I love it so much, and I don't know how to cover it yet in a way that I'd be happy with. And, Avatar: The Last Airbender is another one of my favorites, and I wouldn't know how to cover that. One Piece is literally so huge, and without making our channel one of those, One Piece only channels, I don't know what we could do with it. And the anime community is a little savage. Much love to all you guys, but, I don't want to get my One Piece wrong if we're gonna make a video about it. So, a lot of the stuff that are my favorites are just just huge sources of content and it'd be so difficult to do. But I want to do it. I'm obviously very passionate about those. And we have done some, like we've covered Courage the Cowardly Dog, we did Teen Titans, we've done other ones.
We founded this show starting with many of our childhood favorites, so those are up. It's just now that the show is better, like our quality has improved, I mean, there are more that I would definitely like to do. The problem is that people don't seem to care about the shows that I loved from growing up. To Lucas's point, I'm a nostalgia hoe.
Ho, ho, ho.
God, I don't even like saying that. I like stuff that's really old. I'm talking 20s, like early Mickey Mouse cartoons, or into the 60s and 70s, like Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo, Johnny Quest, that kind of stuff. And I'm even on an 80s, 90s cartoon kick right now. I'm just about finished with Gargoyles, and like these are shows that I really love and I think would be very fun to cover. And the problem isn't that there's no market for them, but it's just that our audience hasn't found it yet. So if I'm being honest, we're probably not going to cover as many of those in the immediate future, but it's very much within the long-term plans of HBCT to try to cover almost every cartoon that's ever existed in some capacity.
Leave some of your favorites in the comments too, because I want to know what is classic, you know, and a childhood favorite to you guys. One of the ones that jumps to my mind is Codename Kids Next Door. I would love to talk about that. That's such a unique show, and it was so cool to see growing up.
That's a perfect transition to the next question, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Tess also asked, do you plan to stick typically with children or adult cartoons in the future? And I think this is very interesting.
You guys are about to watch Alec and I have a debate.
Because I feel to some degree that we almost represent different sides of this coin. That might be overstating it a little bit, because I don't think that you just like adult cartoons, and I don't think I just like children cartoons. But part of the creative friction that Lucas and I have is figuring out how to do stuff that each of us like. And the happy medium is kind of like adult cartoons that are disguised as kids cartoons, like a Centaur World. Those are shows that each of us resonate a lot with because it sort of gives both of what we really like.
I'll be honest, I like shows that take their audience seriously. I don't care who it's marketed for. If you're a kids show, take your kids seriously, because kids are smart. Romance comedy audience viewers, they can handle complex things too. You know, like, it doesn't matter what genre it is. People dumb down their content for people when they don't need to all the time for every medium. For me, I want to watch stuff that has good themes, you know, like Adventure Time. Maybe it's a kids show, maybe it's not. I don't care. It has good themes, and it has characters with interesting storylines that you get emotionally involved in. It has a world that's interesting. I'm not trying to say kid or adult, but I don't like episodic shows. Like, all of the shows, like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Chalk Zone, like, pretty much most of the cartoons that we got in the 90s and early 2000s, the formulaic thing, I just don't care for it. I like plot, I like story arcs, I like getting invested in a story. That doesn't mean that I never want to cover it, though. I have an interest and fascination in covering anything. I like the art of living. You know, I'm just interested in you can find something interesting to talk about any topic, even the most boring shows. I don't think for Alec and I think our general philosophy is everything's on the table, and we're gonna tend to try to do stuff that will help our channel grow. As much as we want to do things outside of that, when we will do things outside of that, we're making this video, even though it might not do well. But if you're looking for what we're usually gonna do, we'll probably end up doing the stuff that's the most popular, which from my perspective is adult animation and animation that toes the line at least.
I'm not going to go into the whole kids versus adult cartoon thing because that's an entire episode, and we will have an entire episode about it eventually. There are adult cartoons that don't take their audience seriously either, in a completely different way. You know, when we say that we want to do some adult cartoons, we're not as interested in the comedies that look very similar in animation, have lots of flashback jokes. There's a general interesting conversation to be had there, but we're not going to have the American Dad and Family Guy episodes, if they ever happen, are not going to be that different from each other. You know what I'm saying?
And that's how I feel about episodic shows, and it's the same for those two. SpongeBob is going to have similar stuff to Camp Lazlo, similar stuff to all of these shows that just had like silly characters for kids, and same with silly characters for adults. It's the same shtick, right? You get the cutaway scene jokes, you get the stupid humor, you get the dumb, raunchy humor.
I'm not going to say we're going to cover mostly adult shows. I'd say that most adult cartoons we cover will probably be anime because there haven't been that many in the West that have gotten big, but that trend is growing. Invincible happened this year. BoJack Horseman, sure. And I mean, I would say Hell of a Boss is a YouTube series. It's the same type of thing. I had to open my mind a lot for that one because it's not something that I seek out, but I've had a really good time watching it. And I think that's our thing, is we just always want to walk in with an open mind. Yeah. Expect all kinds of different cartoons. In the coming year, it's probably going to be leaning stuff that's a little bit more popular, or if it's part of our weird cartoon series, just something that's hella fun to talk about, or has a legacy. You know, I would say those are the things that are going to carry the day for now. I'm going to ask another question from Conservarium. What are your thoughts on doing reviews, specifically movie reviews, with or without spoilers? I'm asking this now because I feel like it goes into like the long-term vision, right? And some of the things we would like to do, but we can't do yet.
Oh, if Alec and I are like full-time content creators, we're talking pipe dream here. Like, what I think would be sick, if we have our TV cartoon channel, we could have a second channel that's specifically for movies. If we're talking like Super Sky Dream, will also be a theme park review channel so that I can I can write amusement park visits off on my taxes and we can talk about roller coasters because I love amusement parks and would love to be one of those channels if we could pull it off.
Just know that if something like that ever happened, it would not be sacrificing any of the content that you guys love. For Hester Brothers Cartoon Theater, do we want to do movies? Yes, definitely eventually. Yeah. We would need to do it full time. That's kind of the bar that we're setting for it. As we look into the new year, we do want to say a very heartfelt thanks to everybody who's been part of the HBCT journey. If you are here right now, you are part of the reason that we have had such a successful first 8 to 9 months of this show. And if you're somebody who's not in the Discord, that might be a cool thing for you to check out, because that's where we got these questions today. Do you have anything else you want to say before we move on to 2022 and a brand new year of HBCT content?
Was that the last of our questions? Do we have any more?
Oh, Marvel or DC from Tess?
Depends on if we're talking comic books or movies or shows.
Really? Okay. That's not an excuse. Just give me a flat-out answer. Include everything. It all counts. I am 100% on the Marvel train, and I feel like you're a DC person.
Look, I'm going to say DC because even though I like more Marvel movies, I like the movies that I like from DC better. I like Dark Knight and the Joker more than anything else that's come out from any other superhero thing. And that's enough to overrule all of the other good. I like what Marvel's doing, but it also reminds me of like how capitalism's destroying the earth. A lot. No, I just can't get over that. I really can't. You know, it's just like big budget movies, and they're fine. They're rarely mind-blowing at this point. I say DC.
Wow.
I'll say DC.
I thought I was just going to be like, Marvel or DC? You were going to be like, DC, and I was going to be like, Marvel. And we were like, that's the show.
I'm not that simple.
When it comes to cartoons, I am even moving more into the Marvel camp, even though I grew up with DC, because I'm watching X-Men the Animated Series right now, and I freaking love it so much. So thank you, everybody, for everything. I can't wait to see what's ahead. I'm not going to tease anything because we promised that we were going to be doing an episode about our top 5 Christmas specials that you should add to your collection. Kind of ran out of time for that one, so we're going to be doing a different ranking special coming up. I'm not going to say what it is.
We don't know yet.
Because we don't know. But we're going to find out, and that'll be the first long-term video. Once again, it's going to be every other week for those longer videos now, and we're going to try to get some more reactions out there for you.
Happy New Year, everybody. To risk ending this on a wholesome note from Lucas, we'll throw those dice here for a second. You know, life's pretty crazy, and I think something that the wonderful art form of animation can do is bring us to a place where we can bond. And, you know, whether you're into it for escapism or you're into it for really immersing yourself in your emotions or in an experience, whatever it is, it brings us together and it helps us get through our lives. And it's beautiful that we could be a part of that process for you guys, because I know watching YouTube does the same thing. I watch so much YouTube to escape my existential anguish. So I'm glad that we could be a part of that in your lives. And it's really just a super blessing to be able to do this at all, that we're in a position that we have the technology and everything like that. So extremely grateful. It's good to be grateful in your lives. So go about with that mentality for a little bit and have a beautiful time. Stay safe out there this new year, everybody.
Bye, everybody.